Hi everyone, and welcome once again to the Lowdown in 15. Oh my goodness, and today is our 10th episode. And it's called The Little Rudder. Now, before we go into all of that and what that little rudder is about, yes, I'm going to take my time out to say thank you to everyone that has come along this journey with me. Thank you for every feedback, every comment, every review. And if you have not done so, please do subscribe to the channel, like and share the videos. Join us on Facebook or on Instagram as well. Do check us out. And have you joined in? Have you keyed in on the Mission Mondays? I have been so excited to share other people's videos. I hope that encourages you to send in yours. Remember, I did say we're on a marathon together, Let's go on this journey together. Let's encourage each other. Let us be our brother's keeper. Every little helps. So join us. Let's go all the way together. So now let's go into what episode 10 is about. It's called The Little Rudder. As usual, I'm going to encourage you. Just take a walk with me. Let's walk together. Let's see where I'm going to with this. And yes, as usual, I would like to hear from you at the end of this, what you think about it. Did it hit the spot? Anyway, let's talk about the little rudder. And yes, I'm going to start off with the definition. The definitions are going to come first, just a plain definition. Then it goes into what the use is of the rudder. I'm taking it straight from the dictionary here. And the rudder is a flat piece hinged vertically near the stern of a boat or a ship for steering. A rudder is a primary control surface used to steer a ship, a boat, a submarine, or a hovercraft. It is the guide or control movement of a vessel. For example, you might say turning a wheel or operating the rudder. So the key things here to note that is that it guides or holds a course for a ship. I'm going to use a ship because we always say something like the ship of life. And it is that piece that matters most when steering something in the direction you want, or even more so, the direction you need it to go. It's a small piece, but it's the most important piece. Now, how do we relate this to us? Yes, you got it. The Bible tells us clearly that the power of life and death is in the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. It also tells us that, the tongue is a small member, yet it boasts of great things. How great a fire is set ablaze by such a small fire, all in the tongue. It's amazing. I know it also tells us that, for we may stumble in all ways, but he who is able to bridle his tongue can be deemed as perfect. That's how important the tongue is. The tongue can actually dictate. You know what it is to say that the power of life and the power of death is in the tongue. That is how important what we speak is. Medically speaking, that's what amazed me, is that the tongue is the rudder for the human body when it comes to posture, when it comes to airwaves, and when it comes to facial development. I was amazed at that. I don't know if that's something everybody knew, but hands up, I just got to know it this time. And it amazed me. Isn't our Creator an amazing person? And the tongue is made up of, like 8 different muscles. I went into all of that, but that the fact that it actually controls our facial development. The Bible says with unveiled face, we're able to look into him and be transformed into his image. Do you understand? And it now relates it to our tongue having the power of death and life. That was absolutely amazing for me to hear. Let's go more into biblical references and see how it is that this tongue actually does affect us, being the rudder. Because, the Bible tells us, life and death is put before us. We're allowed to choose. To be carnally minded is death, but to be spirit-filled is life. It says here, a gentle tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness breaks the spirit. How we speak. Are we gentle or are we perverse? They say gracious words are like honeycomb, sweetness to the soul and health to the body. Even if you are the one that is upset and angry with someone and you spew out what you shouldn't spew out from your mouth, you know, have you ever had that impression that it leaves a bitter taste in your mouth? So imagine when you're speaking sweet words, or even if you are upset about something, but you are able to do that correction in love, will it leave a bitter taste in your mouth? Because it affects both ways, both you who is speaking and the person you're speaking to. In Colossians, we're admonished that our speech should always be gracious and seasoned with salt, so you may know how you ought to answer each person. I'm not sure if it's an African adage or if it's something that is known, but you know, they say when you bring out words from your mouth, it's like breaking an egg. You can't really put it back together. They've come out, be it death or be it life. It's just like, remember that Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall. Can you put Humpty Dumpty back together? Remember, Humpty Dumpty was a big egg with some facial expression or something. You know, and then Matthew tells us, you know, by your words you may be justified, and by those same words you be condemned. It's amazing what our words can do. You know, something, so many things, sayings come up. You know, when they said, you know, empty vessels make the most noise, that means it. And then it tells us the Bible, a fool is known by his plenty words, but a wise man counts his words. You know, it even tells us that, you know, sometimes a fool may be deemed to be wise just because that person kept quiet. But it's so important what we say with our words, you know. Blessings come from the same mouth and curses come. Can we bless God and curse our fellow man at the same time? Is that right? When you want to pray, it is with the tongue. Are you saying the right prayers, you know, from the right heart? Are you saying the right prayers when you want to prophesy? When the Lord told the prophet, look at the dry bones and prophesy, he used his tongue to prophesy. You know, consolation, when your tongue has been bereaved, you want to console the person or something has happened, is the same tongue you're going to use. You want to congratulate someone, is the same tongue you're going to use. The tongue can actually dictate the result of what you're going to get. You're going for an interview. They've seen your CV. They've probably checked your profile out on LinkedIn or wherever they want to check your profile. They've liked that bit enough to come in. But do you realize that at the end of the day, it's your tongue, what you speak out, is going to get you that sought after job. Sometimes have you ever come out of a place, maybe an interview or something, and you say, oh my goodness, I should have said that. That would have added more, you know, a clincher to what I want to say. It is known that the experience of an emotion results from the brain, the heart, and the body, you know, and that's how important our words are. So yes, let's come down to the clincher of it. What controls our tongue? Because it's what controls the tongue now that is going to dictate where you're going to. What controls your tongue? What motivates your tongue? And the Bible tells us that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So what is in your heart is what controls the tongue. What is in your... So is it suffice to say that who controls your heart controls your destiny? Because if it is that the power of life and death is in the tongue, who controls your heart controls what comes out of your mouth and therefore controls your destiny. You know, the Bible tells us that we should guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it springs the issues of life. It didn't say a part of life or some parts of your life is governed by the tongue. It said the issues of life. Another rendition will say the tongue is the wellspring of life. Everything that concerns life, it comes out from the tongue. And let's clinch it here. In Hebrew, the word God can be replaced with the word keep. And the word keep in Hebrew literally means to set a watchman. So let's rephrase the statement. Say, guard your heart. Set a watchman over your heart with all diligence. So, because sometimes, I don't know, the first time I ever heard guard your heart, I used to think, how do I guard my heart? Do I set up a wall when we're encouraged to love? Now, do you set up a wall to keep it closed? Do you keep yourself away? Because it is you that's given the responsibility to guard your heart. So how is it done? But you see, it actually means that our hearts should be filtered. That means we should filter our emotions, our desires, our thoughts, our responses through his word. Everything we do should be filtered through the word of God. And when you have that filter through the word of God, you set a watchman over your heart. So the right things come in and the right things go out. So the words you speak are the ones that are spoken through the filter of his word. Especially in this time that we're in. Well, we're in a season where what you speak matters. Because, said your words can either build up or tear down. It's not just talking about relationships and people. Even now in this time, if your heart is full of faith, you will speak the words that will bring out a norm that is better than what you used to do. But if it is of fear, what will you speak from your mouth? You see, when the heart is unhealthy, it impacts every part of your life. It's not just one part of your life. It impacts, it will threaten your family, it will threaten your friends, your ministry, your career. Indeed, your whole legacy is threatened because what comes from your heart, everything should be filtered through the word of God. So right now in this season, if it is that you've taken fear, and that is fear that has taken hold of your heart, everything you speak will be spoken in fear. But if you've taken the word of God and you speak it into faith, that is what is going to come out of your mouth. And then you can speak the words of faith that can build up your life to what it's meant to be. Remember, it says it is the wellspring of life. The power of life and death is in the tongue. What are you speaking in this season? What is it that is in your heart? Have you guarded it? Have you filtered it with everything through the word of God? Do you believe the truth of the word of God, or is it the circumstance around, or what it is that is boistering around you that you're going to focus on? Because those could be facts, but what is the truth? And for me, it rounds it off so beautifully. If you look at Proverbs 2 from 7 to 8, and it says here, he holds success in store for the upright. He is a shield to those whose walk is blameless, for he guards, he keeps watch over. He is the watchman of the course of the just and protects the way of his faithful ones. That encompasses every part of our life. So once again, I ask you this question. As the tongue is the little rudder, what governs your heart? Who governs your heart? Who is in charge of your heart? Through what do you filter your heart? Is your heart guarded? Is your heart guarded? Is there a watchman over your heart? And who is that watchman over your heart that allows your tongue to speak the right words? Am I getting to someone here? Are you getting my point here? And did you watch the promo? Yes, when I thought of that promo, and I was thinking to myself, how do I get across what I'm saying? And there's this popular saying that has come out so many times in different things. If you're one that reads different articles of what people have to say concerning skills, talents, abilities, it says, amateurs built Noah's Ark, but professionals built the Titanic. And this is nothing against professionals, but you see, when they say amateur, the word amateur actually means that what you're doing out of love of what you're doing. It's not because you're paid to do it, but it's out of a love that you do it. So when you call that Noah's Ark was built by amateurs, Noah followed an instruction of the person that governed his heart. He followed the instruction of the God that governed his heart. And you see, nothing was ever said about the destruction of Noah's Ark. But you see, Titanic, which is nothing against professionals, but you see, it wasn't a hard thing. It was a skilled thing. We're professional at what they're building. They are paid, they're skilled, they were schooled in it. And we know the destruction of the Titanic. But when your heart and the instructions you follow are guarded, the set man, the watchman over your heart is the Lord by his word. When you carry out those instructions and now you speak the words of life, believe me, he is faithful to complete what he has started. Once again, I tell you, the guard over your heart is the watchman, making your little rudder, your tongue, to speak life. I hope I did catch your attention. I do hope I got my message across. I hope you enjoyed the walk with me this time. Yes, and once again, I do want to hear from you. And my next episode is, have you got the vibe? Have you got the vibe? I hope you do join me. And remember, I am Ursula. Thank you.